Katie Postma. 1420, Lala Tiburona. 22 is Habanero Romero. 29, Darko. 31, Kid Vicious. 316, Evangelical. 33 is Skinner. 343, Trinity. 39 is Gaffney. 48, Brute. 5, American Gangster. 70, Freddie Herfury. And number 99, Sally Handsome. Let's get ready to play roller derby. Getting ready for Jam 1 of Period 1. We've got Sally Handsome on the line for the Rose City Rollers up against Freight Train for Angel City. And there's our whistle. Freight Train quickly moving up to the front of the pack, taking a nice whip off of number 88. That is Chewy Lion. Freight Train with 1 to beat in American Gangster. Freight Train lead jammer for the Scarlets. Sally Handsome trying the inside line. Finding Queen Luz Utifa instead. Sally Handsome through on a star stash. Freight Train looking to put all 4 on the board, calls it off. Looks like we've got Jackpot up against Schadenfreude. Jackpot through after a whip off of one of the twins. Lead jammer goes to Rose City. Schadenfreude about a quarter track behind. Pack is on the move. Jackpot has 1 on the board so far, calls it off. On the Jam on Hawthorne Jammer line, we've got Trinity up against Ghetto Fabulous. There's a whistle. Nice offensive work right off the line. Great job by Skinner to suck back and get Ghetto Fabulous behind the jam line. Trinity working up to the top of the pack. Ghetto Fabulous taking another run at it. First penalty of the game goes to number 42. That is Blackman on a direction. Pack is extending out. Trinity with 2 to beat. Nice bump up by AOA. Ghetto Fabulous stuck behind Kid Vicious. Carl and Brute, beautiful spin job, not quite enough. Trinity with 1 to beat. Lead jammer goes to Trinity 50 seconds into the jam. That's a 2-town sider star pass on Angel City to Death Down Under. Trinity looking to score points for Rose City. There's a full 4 through on a backspin, calling it off. Lala Tiburona jamming for Rose City. Freight Train once again on that Jam on Hawthorne jammer line. Lala trying the outside, not able to make anything of it, looking for some help from Gaffney and Katie. Nice job of Katie to try and get Freight Train out, not quite able to make it happen. Lead jammer goes to Angel City. Big hit there by Queen Luzia Tifa. Darko up the top of the pack, trying to get Freight Train out, not able to make it happen. And two-town slider star pass on Rose to Katie Postma. Freight Train seeing the star pass goes ahead and calls it off. Evangelical facing off against Schadenfreude in this jam. There's our whistle. Evangelical quickly to the top, looking for some offensive help from Brute. Schadenfreude lead. Beautiful shot at the apex, not able to make it happen because of Blackman. Evangelical through, Blackman taking a final swipe. Level Heart Therapy penalty box is clear. Sally Handsome up against Ghetto Fabulous. Sally Handsome out, lead jammer goes to Rose City. Ghetto Fabulous about a third a track behind. The pack is on the move. Rose manages to get a goat at the back. Sally Handsome through, picking up 2 points. Jackpot and Freight Train once again on that Jam on Hawthorne jam line. There's our whistle. Jackpot quickly to the top. Getting some help from Carl. Nice juke to the outside. Jackpot trying to power past Death Down Under. Queen Luzia Tifa facing off against Kid Vicious. Freight Train lead jammer for Angel City. Two-town sider star pass on Rose to Brute. Trinity and Schadenfreude are wearing the stars this jam. Both jammers through almost at the same time. Trinity, due to some offensive help there by Gaffney, it's a race. The pack is also on the move. Angel City desperately trying to slow it down. La Tiburona up against Ghetto Fabulous. Crackerjack coming all the way back to mess up that AOA defense off the line. Lala through. Just kidding, that's a forearm. Oh, both of them headed to that penalty box. Lala on a forearm and Ghetto Fabulous on a cut track. This will be our first full 2-minute jam. Lala re-engaging the pack and immediately getting hit by Crackerjack and Queen Luz Yatifa. Lala hit to the outside by Queen Luz Yatifa, rolled back once again by Crackerjack, back behind the Jam on Hawthorne jammer line. Ghetto Fabulous stuck behind Carl and company. That's Carl, Brute, Skinner. And a Mark and Gangster. Lala finding Queen Luz Yatifa once again. Lala up the top of the pack, 2 to beat. I believe that's Death Down Under, headed to the penalty box on a failure to reform. Carl also headed to the penalty box there for a destruction penalty. No initial pass completed for Angel City. 2 points put on the board for AOA. And we've got 2 in that Rebel Heart Therapy penalty box, so pack will be lean for both teams. Evangelical able to get out, lead jammer for AOA. Freight Train hot on Eve's heels. Once again, the pack moves. Darko trying to take out Tui Lion. Darko going and taking a seat in that Rebel Heart Therapy penalty box at the whistle for illegal contact. We have an official timeout being called. This official timeout brought to you by RCR's official realtor, Deb Counts-Tabor. Welcome to PDX.
Is this easier for you to read when I do them in the boxes, so you know what jams it is?
If you want to highlight who got lead.
Halftime.
Sally Handsome up against Stiletto. First time Stiletto's jamming this game. Nice job by Brute and Skinner and Kid Vicious to keep Stiletto at the back. What are you doing? 4 points on the board for both teams that jam. Axles of Annihilation 18, Hollywood Scarlets 21. Gaffney with the offense right off the line for Jackpot. Beautiful job there by Katie Postma. Schadenfreude is not lead. Nice setup for an apex jump interrupted by Gaffney. Katie Postma with recycle on Schadenfreude. Habanero Romero covering the outside line. Gaffney shrugging off a hit by number 215, Bugogi. And Jackpot. Hollywood Scarlets picking up 4 on that jam. Trinity and Freight Train. There's our whistle. Skinner and American Gangster off the line, holding Freight Train. Trying to escort to the outside. Freight Train getting a big hit by Brute, recycled back to the pivot line. Trinity is lead jammer for AOA. Trinity looking for help from Carl. Unfortunately, Carl pulls the direction penalty. Queen Lujatifa shoving American Gangster out of the way. Freight Train getting some help from Tui Lion. And we have a two-town sider star pass on the Scarlets to Blackman. Blackman hit to the outside by Brute and Gangster. Gangster with the recycle. Both jammers recycling back to the jam line. Blackman back on the track, getting offensive help from Freight Train. Blackman hit to the inside by Carl. A tap to the inside followed up by Skinner, long recycle. Trinity hit to the inside by Death Down Under. Goes ahead and calls it off after putting 4 on the board. That's a team timeout being called on Angel City. This timeout brought to you by RCR's official realtor, Deb Constaber, and welcome to PDX. Tiburona jamming up against Bermuda Biangle. That's a multiplayer being called on Queen Lucia Tifa. Lala through, lead jammer goes to Rose. Nice offensive help by Perfect, unfortunately getting a direction penalty. Bermuda Biangle working up the top of the pack. Behind Freddie, Darko, and Gaffney. Lala with 4 on the board. Bermuda Biangle trying the inside, not able to make anything of it. We have a cut track on Bermuda Biangle. That's going to leave Lala Tiburona in a power jam for Rose. Lala going ahead and calling it, icing Bermuda Biangle in that Rebel Heart Therapy penalty box. Rose going ahead and putting Evangelical on that jam line. With Kid Vicious, Amara, Brute, and Carl. Knowing the pack was going to run. Beautiful job of grabbing a goat. Kid getting an illegal position out of that. Bermuda Biangle back on the track, finding Gangster and Brute. That is Boo Gogi getting in everybody's business. Carl coming in with some offensive help. Big hit by Tui Lion, sending Evangelical to the outside. Blackman, Tui Lion, and Rachel Rotten with a side of Bugogi. Bugogi getting so low. No lead jammer has been declared with less than 30 seconds on the jam time. Bermuda Biangle trying the outside, finding Carl and Brute. Amara assessed a multiplayer. That was a full 2-minute jam, no initial pass for either jammer. Sally Handsome and Ghetto Fabulous. Everybody crowding around that jam line. Gaffney managing to cover all of the lines. Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. Two downsider star pass on Rose from Sally Handsome to Katie Postma. Ghetto Fabulous getting through, picking up all 4 and calling it off. Well, 3 points. Jackpot and Freight Train. There's our whistle. Great job by Tui Lion to clear a lane for Freight Train. Not quite soon enough. Jackpot gets lead for Rose. Freight Train finding Brute and Amara up at the top of the pack. Skinner dropping the bridge along with Carl. Jackpot being held at the back. Beautiful. That's gorgeous. Freight Train through on initial. Jackpot, the big hit to the inside by Whiskey Von Sweets, calls it off. That's an official timeout. All of our timeouts brought to you by Debcam Sabre, and welcome to PDX, the official realtor of Rose City Rollers. Habanero Romero with the big defense off the line. Trinity and Schadenfreude both jamming. Schadenfreude trying the outside, finding Freddie and Darko. Nice hit to the outside. Unfortunately, no pass, no penalty. Darko head to the penalty box on a forearm. Schadenfreude taking another swing at the pack. Around the outside. Excellent job by Gaffney with that hit out. Trinity still stuck in the middle of everything there. Schadenfreude through. We've got a two downsider star pass on Rose to Gaffney. Schadenfreude putting 4 up for Angel City. Gets through, picking up another 4 and calls it off. Lala once again wearing that star up against Stiletto. Stiletto trying the outside with help from Bugogi. Trying the outside again, but finding Carl. Lala recycled back to the back. Stiletto recycled back to the back. Skinner, Carl, and Darko holding Stiletto back. Tui Lion coming in, trying with the offensive help. Lala up at the top, pushing against Blackman and Rachel Rotten. Both jammers really locked down in the pack. Blackman coming in with the offense, allowing Stiletto through. Lead jammer goes to Angel. Lala hit to the outside, recycled back by Rachel Rotten. Rose in a power jam with Stiletto headed to the penalty box. Carl headed to the penalty box for Rose on a direction. Lala looking for help from the remaining 3 Rose City blockers. Angel City with a great job of neutralizing that power jam. Rose only able to put 4 on the board to the 2 points for the Scarlets. Sally Handsome and Ghetto Fabulous. Penalty box is almost clear. Ghetto Fabulous out for lead. Big hit there by Death Down Under on Handsome. Beautiful offensive help on Angel by Crackerjack. Ghetto through for 4. Beautiful 2-town sider star pass on Rose to Katie Postma. Katie was able to sneak through, pick up all 4. We have a team timeout being called by the Axles of Annihilation. This timeout brought to you by our Sarah's official realtor, Deb Counts-Tabor, and welcome to PDX. Lead jammer goes to Freight Train. Jackpot still working, looking for some offensive help from Brute. Freight Train around the outside, able to get through, picking up an additional 4 for the Scarlets. Nice apex jump there at the whistle. 3 additional points on the board for the Scarlets. Both teams have used their official review this half. Neither has been retained. Penalty box is clear. Trinity up against Schadenfreude this time around. Schadenfreude stuck behind Darko. Nice hit to the inside by Freddie, assisted by Gaffney. Freddie coming up front. Trinity trying to get through on the inside. It's a multiplayer being called on Trinity. That's going to leave the Scarlets in a power jam. Nice hit to the outside by Darko, recycle by Gaffney. Angel City setting up for a defensive sweep here. Nice job by Darko. Excellent job by Gaffney. Nice recycle by Death Down Under. Trinity trying the inside to the outside. Nice job by Hobbs to go ahead and clear that lane. Trinity through on initial. Jammer on jammer. Scarlets putting 12 up that jam. That is the largest jam of the game so far. And here we are at intermission for the next 14-ish minutes.
Hey folks, did you know that your head is not normal? No one's is. If your helmet size is a small, but your teammate's size is an extra large, wearing the same helmet shell doesn't just look kind of funny. The functionality of the EPS foam and how it disperses impact energy is compromised. The 888 certified Sweatsaver comes in better shell size options than our leading competitor, giving you the highest level of protection upon impact. Try it for yourself. We got you.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Inquiry number 80393, company is Seba Guy.
Welcome back from halftime. There's our whistle drawing halftime to a close on that Jam on Hawthorne Jam line. We've got Freight Train up against Sally Handsome. Penalty box is cleared. Freight Train out for lead after finding a lane on the outside. Sally Handsome quickly to the top, 1 to beat. Handsome about a lap behind. Freight Train through, picking up all 4, calls it off. Lala Tiburona up against Schadenfreude. Lala, lead jammer, manages to beat out Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude getting caught up on a mark, and Gangster two points on the board for Rose. Ghetto Fabulous and Jackpot facing off once again. Habanero Romero covering the outside, backed up by Donnie Darko. Jackpot through for lead jammer. Ghetto Fabulous still stuck. Recycled back by Katie. Jackpot working up at the top against Crackerjack and company. Gaffney coming in with the offensive help. Jackpot putting 4 up for Rose. 2 downsider star pass on Angel to Rachel Rotten. Nice job by Katie and Darko to go ahead and clear partial lane for Jackpot, allowing 4 on the board for Rose. Jackpot and Trinity. Trinity taking the inside. Jackpot. Freight Train up at the top, getting around Brute and Skinner. Trinity trying the inside, finding Crackerjack. Freight Train nudged to the inside, recycled by Brute. Back to the top of turn 1. Skinner, Brute, and Carl holding Freight Train for a second, getting assistance. Freight Train blocking Trinity from getting around. Trinity able to juke around. Freight Train calling it off. It's Evian Helical and Schadenfreude on the line. Penalty box once again clear. Habanero Romero and Katie Postma off the line, able to slow down Schadenfreude, allowing Evian Helical to get through. Blackman headed to the penalty box on a direction. Evangelical getting advice to call it after picking up 3. 1 point on the board for Angel City, that jam. Sally Handsome up against Freight Train. Freight Train getting some help from Rachel Rotten off the line. Not enough. Sally Handsome gets through for lead. Freight Train trying the outside, finding a mark in Gangster and Company. Sally Handsome a full lap ahead, trying to fight through, pick up those 4 and call it off. Skinner headed to the penalty box at the whistle. On something. That was a direction on Skinner. Lala Tiburona and Ghetto Fabulous. Ghetto quickly to the top, hit to the inside. Slowed down by Gaffney. Gaffney, Habanero Romero, and Darko up at the top. Darko and Habanero Romero keeping Ghetto in place. Offensive help from Blackman coming in. Lala stuck behind Queen Luzia, Tifa, Crackerjack. Schadenfreude, meanwhile, lead jammer for the Scarlets. Schadenfreude hit to the inside by Darko, recycled just a little bit. Lala Tiburona around on a spin move, free on initial. Schadenfreude sneaking around Gaffney, calling it off. 3 up for the Scarlets. The lead jammer was equally spread between the two teams in the first period. Angel City got 10 lead jams to AOA's 9. Ghetto Fabulous through for lead here. Jackpot taking a whip off of Gangster. Beautiful job. Angel City dropping 2 bridges to extend the pack. Jackpot forced to let go. Through on initial. Ghetto Fabulous calling it off. Trinity and Bermuda Biangle. Trinity taking the outside lane. 1 to beat and Tui Lion. Well, it was 1 to beat. Tui getting a penalty, a forearm off of that. Trinity recycled back to the jam line. Queen Luzia Tifa pushing Trinity to the inside along with Blackman. Bermuda Biangle locked down at the top of the pack. Trinity lead jammer, Bermuda Biangle about 20 feet behind. Great job by Freddie Herfury to goat Death Down Under. 2 points on the board for Rose. Evangelical and Freight Train jamming once again. Evangelical up at the top. Lead jammer goes to Rose. Freight Train bouncing off of every Rose City blocker there. Evangelical picking up one and calling it off. Sally Handsome and Ghetto Fabulous. Nice chase down by Darko. Catch at the top. Ghetto Fabulous, lead jammer for Angel. Two downsider star pass on Rose to Katie Postma. Angel City calls it off after picking up two, holding Rose scoreless in that jam. Lala Tiburona and Schadenfreude both jamming. Schadenfreude picking up a cut track. That will leave Lala in a power jam. Just kidding, Lala also headed to the penalty box on a forearm. We're gonna do a jammer swap. Schadenfreude released back onto the track. Nice catch by Amara up at the top. Lala back on the track as well. Beautiful job by Brute. Amazing offensive help to get Lala through. Penalty box is clear. Lala recycled back by Death Down Under. Direction being called on Amara. Forearm being called on Cracker Jack of Angel City. Big hit by Queen Luzia Tifa. Cut track being called on Lala. Schadenfreude trying to get around Carl. A Gangster back on the track. Kind of a revolving door in that Rebel Heart Therapy penalty box. Queen Luzia Tifa and Perfect coming in for offensive help there right at the end of the jam. 4 points up for Angel City. Timeout being called by Axel's Annihilation. This timeout brought to you by the Rose City's official realtor, Deb Constaber, and welcome to PDX. Lala Tiburona starting in the penalty box up against Freight Train. Freight Train lead jammer. Lala back on the track. Freight Train trying the outside. Inside. Finding Brute, Habanero Romero, Gaffney, and Katie Postma. Multiplayer being called on Habanero Romero. Freight Train through for 4 for Angel. 2 downsider star pass on Axels to Katie Postma. Blackman headed to the penalty box on illegal contact. Whiskey Von Sweets headed to the penalty box on a direction. Rachel Rotten headed to the penalty box as well. Katie Postma out 4 points. Katie headed to the penalty box on a low block. Rachel Rotten recalled back to the penalty box to serve time for a back block. That last jam with 16 points on the board is the largest jam that we've had so far this game. By and large, jams have been pretty low. We have a team timeout being called for Angel City. This timeout brought to you by RCR's official realtor, Deb Counts-Tabor, and welcome to PDX. Katie Postma starting this jam in the box up against Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude through on a spin move for lead. Brute headed to the penalty box on a multiplayer. Katie is out of the box. Katie through on initial. Schadenfreude going ahead and calling it off. Brute stuck in the box. Jackpot and Ghetto Fabulous. Ghetto taking the outside, picking up lead. Able to get around Gaffney and Habanero Romero. Jackpot still stuck in the middle of that chaotic pack. Perfect, headed to the penalty box. I believe I heard Kira say forearm. Smush just told me as well. Jackpot through on initial. Ghetto Fabulous escorted to the outside by Javier Romero. Angel City picked up 1 point on that jam. Sally Handsome and Freight Train wearing the stars this jam. Rebel Heart Therapy penalty box with 1 in it. Angel City starting with slight pack disadvantage. Beautiful offense by Tui Lion off the line. Sally Handsome able to get lead. Freight Train with 1 to beat in Brute. Handsome coming around, looking to put points up. Finding Tui instead. Angel very happy to hold Rose scoreless on that jam. Evangelical and Schadenfreude. Beautiful job by Freddie and company to hold Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude taking the outside. Evangelical is lead. The pack is on the move. Evangelical picking up 2 hard-fought points. Penalty box is clear. Both teams starting with 5 on the track. With Lala Tiburona jamming for the axles up against Stiletto for the Scarlets.
White has what? Oh, I wondered if she
Stiletto working against all the Rose blockers. Lala picking up a forearm. That is going to leave Stiletto in a power jam. Angel City failed to field a pivot this jam. Let's see if the axles can neutralize this 30-second power jam. Stiletto recycled to the back. Nice catch by Gangster up at the top. Tui Lion coming in, trying to break things up. Same with Blackman and Rachel Rotten. That was a great job by Axels to neutralize that power jam. Lala back on the track. Lead jammer still has not been declared. It could be Lala's. Stiletto recycled back by Kid Vicious. Lala through on initial. Lala 1 to beat and Tui. Nice chase down attempt. 4 on the board for the Axles. Jackpot and Freight Train. Jackpot, beautiful breakaway. Lead jammer goes to Rose. Star pass, two-downsider star pass to Death Down Under on the Scarlets. 2 points up for Rose. That's a team timeout being called for the Scarlets. This timeout brought to you by RCR's official realtor, Deb Constaber, and welcome to PDX. Sally Handsome and Ghetto Fabulous wearing the stars. Penalty box is clear. Sally Handsome, beautiful job around the outside. Lead goes to Rose. Ghetto Fabulous hit to the outside, recycled long by Brute and Skinner. Handsome re-engaging, looking to put points up for Rose. Through on the inside. We've got a two-downsider star pass on Angel to Tui Lion. Pack is moving. Sally looking to put a few more points on the board. Great job.
I think Dark's tracking her. She's like, I ain't looking at it.
Evangelical and Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude quickly to the top, finding Freddie and company. Evangelical riding the outside line. Evangelical out, not lead, however, because of a no earned pass. Team timeout being called for Rose. This timeout brought to you by Deb Constaber, and welcome to PDX, the official realtor of the Rose City Rollers. Freight Train facing off against Jackpot once again. Angel City starting on the pivot line, allowing Jackpot a little bit of a run up. Freight Train one to beat, and then Kid Vicious. Lee Jammer goes to Freight Train and Angel. Two downsider star pass on Rose to Brute. Evangelical and Schadenfreude. Evangelical lead jammer for Rose. Queen Luzia Tifa going and taking a seat in that penalty box on a multiplayer. Schadenfreude out on initial. Evangelical busting through, picking up 4, looking to call it. AOA closing that gap between the two teams with just about 3 minutes left on the clock. Lala Tiburona and Freight Train wearing the jammer caps. Freight Train quickly powering to the top. Gangster and Carl, the last to beat. Two downsider star pass from Lala to Brute. Freight Train picking up 2 and calling it off. Schadenfreude and Jackpot. Rose lining up on that Jam on Hawthorne jammer line. Tui Lion setting up for plays right off the line. Schadenfreude lead. Two downsider star pass on the axles of Annihilation to Katie Postma. Schadenfreude hit to the inside, recycled by Gaffney. Nice job by Freddie to stop Queen Luzia Tifa on that run back. That's a direction being called on Death Down Under. Katie Postma through for 4. Oh, beautiful backwards apex jump by Katie. 20 points between the teams. Katie through for another 4. Rose City able to poach 12 points. 20 points left with 1 more jam on the clock while Rose City calls a timeout. A Deb Count Saber and a welcome to PDX timeout. in this likely last jam of the game. Evangelical facing off against Freight Train. Evangelical trying the outside. Beautiful job by the Rose blockers up at the top to slow Freight Train down. Death Down Ender coming in with the offensive help. Rose able to shrug it off.
That's a very much a
There we go. Illegal procedure. Somebody's supposed to be going to the penalty box. Angel City with 2 in the box. No lead jammer declared yet. It's Evangelical. Evangelical is lead. We are off the period clock and on the jam clock alone. Beautiful apex jump up for Evangelical and the Rose City Rollers. That's a multiplayer being called on Brute. Evangelical trying to sneak past those Angel City blockers. Freight Train with 1 to beat. Evangelical picking up a final 4. That brings us to the end of our game. We have an unofficial score. Axles of Annihilation 116 to the Hollywood Scarlets 128.
Hey folks, did you know that your head is not normal? No one's is. If your helmet size is a small, but your teammate's size is an extra large, wearing the same helmet shell doesn't just look kind of funny. The functionality of the EPS foam and how it disperses impact energy is compromised. The 888 certified sweat saver comes in better shell size options than our leading competitor, giving you the highest level of protection upon impact. Try for yourself. We got you.